Good afternoon, fellow viewers. Welcome back to Easy Mathematics. Today we want to talk about percentages. Now, as we all know, when we say percentage or when you hear the word percent, what comes in mind is 100 because cent represents 100. And when we say percent, it means out of 100. So anytime we hear percentage, the sign that comes in mind is this sign, which shows the percentage. Good. So we want to look at how to write percentage or expressing percentages as fraction. When you see 80%, it means it is 80 out of what? 100. 20% is 20 out of 100. So if you want to express a given percentage as a fraction or as fractions, look at the given percentage. So we are expressing percentages as fraction. So the given percentage here is 50%. And 50% is the same as 50 out of 100. So writing this in fraction will give me 50 over 100. We are done. That is expressing percentage as fraction. So the percentage 50% in fraction will give us 50 over 100. But you see, because the 50 over 100 can be simplified in fraction, you can't leave 50 over 100 just like that. Why? Because you can simplify it or you can leave it to its lowest form. Because it is possible, we have to round this number to its lowest form. So looking at this, there is 1 0 at the numerator, 2 zeros at the denominator. So 1 0 will cancel one of the zeros here. Then I'm now having 5 over 10. With the 5 over 10, 5 can go into itself, and this same 5 can go into 10. So we say 5 here 1, 5 here 2, which is going to give us 1 over 2. So the fraction for this percent is 1 over 2. So after writing the number out of 100, then you just simplify it to its lowest form. That's all. When you look at the second one, for example 2, we have 80%. And percent is out of 100. So 80% is 80 out of 100 in a fractional form. We are done. But you have to check and see if you can simplify the figure to its lowest form. So because we can do this, we have to also do what? Simplify. There is a 0 on top, 0 here, so 1 0 will cancel this. Now I'm having 8 over 10. The 8 over 10 that you are having, ask yourself, is there a number that can go into the numerator and go into the denominator? Yes, there is a number. If you use 5, for instance, 5 can go into 10 2 times. But 5 cannot go into 8. So you are not going to use what? 5. Now we are going to use 2. 2 can go into 5. Sorry, 2 can go into 10. And this same 2 can go into what? 8. So 2 will go into 10 5 times. And 2 will go into 8 4 times. This is going to give us 4 over 5. Because there is no number that can divide 4 over 5 apart from 1, we are going to leave our answer like this. So when it comes to expressing percentages as a fraction or as fractions, this is what you are going to do. When it comes to the third one, you have 45.6%. 45.6%. So what do I have to do? It simply means that this number, which is 45.6%, is out of 100. So you have to simplify this fraction to its lowest term. Now this 45.6% over 100, it can be written as 45.6 divided by 100. Now this becomes decimals, like dividing decimals or decimal fraction. So you are going to therefore change this number into mixed fraction, which is going to give us 456 over 10 divided by 100. This 100 can be over 1. So we are going to change the division sign to multiplication from what you have been taught from the start. Then we are going to reciprocate the fraction here. And this is going to give us, we have 10 here, the denominator here is 10, sorry. So this is going to give us 456 over 10 times 1 over 100. Now, when you change the division sign to multiplication, it's going to affect the fraction on the left, just as we've done here. Then let's see if we can cancel or not. If you look at it carefully, we can cancel using 2. 2 can cancel it vertically, and this same 2 can be used to cancel it horizontally. So 2 will go into this number 228 times. So 2 here, 228. Then 2 into this number 5 times. Now you are having 228 over 5 times 1 over 100. We can also do the cancellation this way, using the same 2. So 2 will go into this number 104 times. And 2 will go into this number 50 times. Again, we can use 2 to simplify. You have to simplify till you get to the lowest form. When we say lowest form, it means you can no longer divide it anymore. So now, the 456 here, I'm now having 114. The 10 here, I'm now having 5. The 100 here, I'm now having 50. So let's see if I can still divide 114 by 50. I can divide it. Yes, 2. That same 2. So 2 will go into this number. How many times? Let's see. 2 is going to go into 114 57 times. And 2 will go into this number 25 times. So now, this number, we are now having 57. This we are having 5. This we are having 25. So this number, which is now 27 times 1, is going to give us 57 over this number that we are having 5 and 25. If you multiply, we are going to get 125. Now when you look at this, you are now having 57 over 125. The 57 over 125. Ask yourself, can a certain number divide this? There is no number. Although 3 can go into this number, 3 cannot go into 127. So we leave our answer like that. So when you are expressing percentages as a fraction, you just write it out of 100, then you simplify it, leaving your answer in fraction. When you come to the second set, it says expressing fractions as percentages. This time they've given you the fraction and they've given you the percentage, and you are coming to express it in percentage. Here they gave you the percentage and you expressed it in what? Fraction. Here they've given us the fraction. Just express it or change it into percentages or percent. Now, if you want to change a percentage into a fraction into percentage, multiply the percentage by 100. As easy as it is. So when you look at this fraction, 15 out of 20, just multiply the 15 out of 20 by 100. Whatever that you get as your answer, you percent it. So 50 over 20 times 100, this can be written as over 1 because it is a whole number. And every whole number is over 1. Now try and see if you can cancel vertically and diagonally. Sometimes, if you multiply before cancelling, it makes the figures huge. So you have to cancel to reduce the figures before you multiply. One easy way is that. One of the easiest way of doing the multiplication of fraction is that. So I can say that 5 will go into 15 3. 5 will go into 20 4 times. This 4 can go into 100 or can divide 100. So 4 here 1, 4 here 25. Now you are having the numerator here as 3, the denominator here as 1. Then you are having 25 here over 1. So multiply 3 times 25. If you multiply 3 times 25, you are going to get 75. So 3 times 25 is going to give us 75 over 1 times 1 will give us 1, which is the same as 75. But because we are expressing the fraction as a percentage, we'll bring the sign at the end to show that it is what? In percentages. So you are just going to multiply the fraction by 100. Look at the number 2. The number 2, they've given you 1 over 8. Express the 1 over 8 as a percentage. So the 1 over 8 that they've given you, multiply the 1 over 8 by 100. If you multiply 1 over 8 by 100, you are going to get 1 out of 8 times 100. Every whole number is over 1. Sometimes we have to do it like this for them to look alike, for us to get fraction times fraction. So 1 over 8 times 100 over 1. Check and see if you can cancel. Because if you cancel, it makes the multiplication more easier. So I can cancel diagonally because we are multiplying. So let's use 2. 2 will go into 8 4 times. 2 will go into 100 50 times. Again, 2 can be used to simplify both values. So 2 will go into 4 2 times, and 2 will go into 50 25 times. So now I'm going to get 1 times 25, which is going to be 25. Then here I have 2 times 1, which is going to give me 2. So multiplying 1 over 8 by 100 is giving us 25 over 2. And if you look at the 25 over 2, the 25 over 2 is improper fraction. If you cast your mind back, improper fraction is when the numerator is greater than the denominator. So here, just change this into either mixed fraction or decimal. But what we are interested in is the sign percent, because we are expressing it in percentages. If you want to express 25 over 2 as a percentage, you are going to say that 2 will go into 25. How many times? 2 will go into 25 12 times, leaving a remainder of 1. So, in mixed fraction, we can say our answer will be 12 whole number, 1 over 2%. But if in case you come across this in section A and you don't see 12 whole number, 1 over 2%, then it is possible that we are going to see 12.5%. So either you leave it in mixed fraction or decimal. Our interest is in the percentage. But if the question also asks, express it leaving your answer to the nearest whole number, then you should know that we don't need fraction. We don't need the mixed fraction. Therefore, we will need the decimal. So if you are being asked to express a fraction as a percentage, just multiply the fraction by 100. When you look at the third one, this is a mixed fraction. You have to express this mixed fraction as a percentage. Also, the same thing, just multiply it by 100. So if I'm going to have 2 whole number, 2 over 3 in percentage, I have to multiply it by 100, which is over 1. Now here, because the fraction here is mixed fraction, I have to change the mixed fraction into improper fraction. So changing this into improper fraction, multiply the whole number, which is the 2 whole number, by the denominator 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus the numerator 2, giving us 8. So the improper fraction for this will be 8 over 3 times 100, which is over 1. Check and see if you can cancel out. Can I cancel vertically? No. Can I cancel horizontally? No, you can't. So it means this one, it is not possible or impublicant to cancel. So you just do what? Multiply. Because we were told that in multiplication of fraction, you don't find LCM or you don't look for LCM. Multiply the numerator times the numerator, the denominator times the denominator. So numerator 8 times numerator 100 is going to give us 800. Denominator 3 times denominator 1 is going to give us 3. Then you express this as a percentage. So let's use the long division sign to express this in decimal. So we are going to get here, let's bring this sign out. So we have 800 here. Now if you are doing this, you cover the 2 zeros here, you have 8. Ask yourself, 3 will go into 8 how many times? 2 times. Remember 2. So 2 times, this will give you 6. If you subtract, you are going to get 2. You bring your 0 zeros, cover this side. If you cover, you have 20. 3 will go into 20 how many times? 7 times, because 3, 7, 21 is more. So we are going to say 3 will go into 26 times, because 6 3 is 18. Sorry, 6 times 18. You are going to get 2. You bring your 0. You are going to get another 6. If you multiply 18, you are going to get another 2 points. So you are going to get 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. So the answer for this is going to give us 266.67%. Remember, we need a percentage to show that we are doing the thing in percentages. So to express a fraction as a percentage, you just multiply the fraction by 100. That is it for the fraction and percentages. Now let's look at the next one. We have changing percentages to decimals. Here they're giving you the percentage, change it into decimals. And what is a decimal? Decimal fraction is a number statement having a decimal point. So you have to change this in decimal. So I'm going to write this as 50 over 100, as we all know. Then you find the lowest form of this. The lowest form of this is going to give us 50 into itself 1, 50 into 100 2, which is 1 over 2. Then this 1 over 2, you use the decimal approach, that is the long division, by expressing this common fraction as a decimal. And in our previous video, we've talked about how to change common fraction to decimal. So changing this into decimals is going to give us 0.5. Remember, this one, they've given us the percentage, and we are changing it into decimal. Now this is a decimal because I have a decimal point. So what you have to do is that just change the given percentage into fraction, as we've done here. So changing the 50% into fraction is going to give you 50 over 100. Now the 50 over 100, simplify it to its lowest form, then you change it into decimal. Or if you want, just go straight forward and change it to decimal. They are all the same. When you come to the second one too, you are going to get 12.5 over 100. Remember, this is not decimal. Because of the percent sign here, or because of the sign here, there is a percentage. So this is 12.5 over 100, which can be written as 12.5 divided by 100. This 12.5, you change it into mixed fraction by giving us 12 whole number 5 over 10. Because we've talked about how to change this into fraction. So it's going to give you 12 whole number 5 over 10. Then you change it into improper. which is going to give you 125 over 10 divided by 100. Now this can be written as 125 over 10 times, immediately you change the division to times, you are going to reciprocate the 100, which is over 1. That is what you have been taught from the previous one that we did here. So now, check and see. Can I cancel? Yes, we can cancel. You can see that 5 can go into 25. 125, 25 times. And 5 will go into this number 2 times. 25 can go into 100. So 5 here 1, 5 into this number. Sorry, 25 into itself 1, 25 in this number 4. So we are going to get 1 times 1, 1. 2 times 8 is going to give us 8. Then you change this number into decimal. You change it into decimal. Now changing 1 over 8 into decimal is going to give us 0.125 as our answer. If you work out the long division, you are going to get this as your final answer. 1 over 8 into decimal will give you 0.125. Because we've been able to leave this percentage into decimal, then we are safe. Because we have been asked to change the percentage into decimal. And if you do that, you are on the safe track. The third one says that change 2% to decimal. 2%, change it to decimal. So what you are going to do is that this 2%, it simply means 2 out of 100. It is already percentage, you are changing it into decimal. So this 2% is the same as what? 2 out of 100. Now, look at this 2 out of 100. Ask yourself, can you simplify? Yes, simplify it. 2 will go into itself 1, and 2 will go into 100 50 times, giving us 1 over 50. Now, what will be the decimal for 1 over? The decimal for 1 over 50 is the decimal for 1 over 50 is going to give us 0.02. Let's try it out and see. Our answer is going to be 0.02. Let's see. Bring the 50 out of the division sign. Take 1 in. Can 5 go into 1? Sorry, can 50 go into 1? No. So you bring your decimal point. Immediately you bring a point here, you can add 0 to the 1 here. Again, can 50 go into 10? No. Because there is no number here, you have to bring 0 and add another 0 here. Now 50 can go into 100 2 times. And if you multiply, you are going to get 100, which is 0.02 as your answer. So for you to change a decimal, a percentage into decimal, just change it into fraction. Then the fraction that you are now having, change the fraction into decimal fraction by using the long division sign. Now, since we've been able to change percentage into decimal, it is the same thing we can also change decimals into percentages. So if you look at this one, we have changing decimals to percentages. That is the opposite of what we were doing. So what will I have to do now, or what should I do? When we were looking at the fraction own, we said just multiply it by what? 100. The same thing you have to also do here. If you have the decimal and they've asked you to change the decimal into percentage, just multiply the percentage by 100. The decimal. Changing decimals to percentage. So this is the decimal that I'm having. If you want to change this decimal into percentage, just multiply this by 100. And the question is, how can I multiply this by 100? This is just like multiplication of decimals. But because we are dealing with percentages, our final answer has to be in what? In percent. If you are multiplying and there is a decimal point, assume there is no decimal point. So 0 point, if I take off the point now, I'm having 8423 times 100. Assume there is no decimal point. So if you assume, you are going to get 0842, which is the same as 8,423. So now multiply this by 100. Because there are zeros here, cover the 2 zeros. Any number times 1 is the same number. So this number times 1 will give me the same number. But because there are 2 zeros, you bring them there, giving you this value. But remember, when you were multiplying, you took off decimal point. So ask yourself, how many numbers are after the decimal point? How many numbers? Let's count. We have, good. We have 4 numbers after the decimal point. So this also being your final answer, make sure that you have 4 numbers after a decimal point. So starting from this side, 1, 2, 3, 4. So all these numbers should come after the decimal point, which is going to give you 84.23. You don't bring the zeros because they are optional, either to bring them or not. So the answer for multiplying this by 100 is this. But because we have to change it into percentage, we just bring our percent sign to show that we've changed this number into, percentage. That is all when it comes to the changing of decimals to percentages. When you look at the second one too, we have 12.12. Remember, after the decimal point, we read the numbers one by one. So you can't say 24.12. No. So 24.12. To change it into percentage, just multiply this by 100. And if you are doing the multiplication, that is multiplying decimals, assume there is no decimal point. So if you assume there is no decimal point, it means we are dealing with 2,412 times 100. And next the zeros, take off the zeros. You are now having 1. Any number times 1 is the same number. So we have this here. But remember, we took off the zero, so we have to bring it back at the final answer. This is my answer for multiplying this times this. This will be my answer. But the question was given to me in a decimal fraction. But I took off the decimal point, so I have to bring it back at the final answer. So ask yourself, how many numbers were after the decimal point before taking it off? 2 numbers, which are this and this. So your final answer too, you have to make sure that after 2 numbers, there should be a decimal point. So after 2 numbers, 1, 2, my decimal point will be here. So the final answer is going to give us 2,412. You have to bring your percent. Why? Because you are changing it into percentage. So anytime you change decimals into percentage, you just multiply it by 100. The same thing happens to this one. What do we have here? You have 0.0014. Change it into percentage. And you have been told that to change it into percentage, just multiply the 0.0014 by 100. If you are multiplying and there are decimals, assume there is no decimal point. If you assume there is no decimal point, this number now becomes 14 times 100. And 14 times 100 is going to give you 1400. This is what you are going to get. But remember, you were dealing with decimal point, which was 0 points, and you took off the point. How many numbers were after the decimal point? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is your final answer. You have to make sure that 4 numbers should come after the decimal point. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Our point will be here. Because there is no number here, we replace it or we write 0. So this number, which is 0.0014, in percentage, is going to give us 0.14. Because you don't bring the zeros, but you have to bring your sign to show that it is in percentage. So anytime you are changing decimals to percentage, you just multiply it by 100. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As today we talked about percentages, we've looked at how to express percentage as fractions and vice versa, and how to also change percentage to decimals, also vice versa. Thank you for staying tuned. God bless you. As God willing, we come again with another topic. If God permits, we'll meet again. Bye-bye.